Let me be clear. That's a transparency joke. Hi, I'm Ken Ray, welcoming you into episode 228 of The Checklist, brought to you by Secure Mac. As had been anticipated, Apple let fly with a ton of updates this week, and they did not skimp on the security. We'll look at a way to open your phone with your masked face, app tracking transparency and fallout from app tracking transparency, and some important security updates for the Mac. Because this is The Checklist, brought to you by Secure Mac. Monday, the 26th of April, saw a mega release of updates from Apple. Marquee releases included iOS 14.5, iPadOS 14.5, watchOS 7.4, tvOS 14.5, and macOS 11.3. For the sake of physical safety and convenience, the most welcome feature of the iOS watchOS lot is probably the one where you can unlock your phone while wearing a face mask. The only problem is anybody else could do that too. As Apple explains, when you go to activate the feature, Face ID can't recognize you with a mask, so iPhone will unlock when any face with a mask is detected while your watch is unlocked and nearby. A haptic and notification on your watch lets you relock iPhone if you didn't mean to unlock it. I like that abundance of caution on Apple's part. Now, if you're not sure you've got what it takes to make this work, Mac Rumors lists the like magic combos required. They include iPhone 10 or later with Face ID, Apple Watch Series 3 or later, iOS 14.5 or later installed on iPhone, and watchOS 7.4 or later installed on Apple Watch. If you've got the right combo, here is how you turn that feature on. Launch the Settings app on your iPhone, select Face ID and passcode. You'll need to enter your iPhone's passcode at that point. Then scroll down to the section labeled Unlock with Apple Watch and toggle the switch next to Apple Watch to the green or on position. If that option is grayed out, you need to update the version of watchOS on your Apple Watch to make it work. Nice, right? I've been walking around with my iPhone on the whole time I'm at the grocery store, so yeah, this is definitely going to be better. Now, for its far-reaching ramifications on the business side and the security side, privacy I mean, you got to figure app tracking transparency is the biggest change to hit eligible devices this week. Maybe in a long time. We've talked about this feature off and on this show since Apple announced it at WWDC 2020, which was almost a year ago. In case you've forgotten what this feature is, it's the one that'll require apps to get a user's permission before tracking their activity from one app to another. When enabled, says Apple Insider, users will be prompted with a dialog stating that the app or website would like to track them. And when it is not enabled, they won't. That may seem obvious, but it's worth diving into. See, I thought it was going to be like visiting a website. You know how it is. You visit a website and you opt out of their tracking cookies over and over and over again every time you visit that site. I had thought that was what was going to happen with apps, that we would have to ask them again and again and again not to track us for the rest of our days. However, a piece from iDownload blog says there is a simple way to say no to every app on your device, assuming no is what you want to say. Basically, don't let them ask. According to iDownload blog, when you disable allow apps to request to track, any apps installed on your device that attempt to ask for your permission to track you across other apps and websites will be blocked from asking and automatically inform that you have requested not to be tracked. In other words, getting a digital talk to the hand is read as a no, as it should be if you ask me. If no is the message you want to send across all apps, go to Settings on your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch, go to Privacy, go to Tracking, and then toggle Allow Apps to Request to Track to the off or gray position, and that is you saying no tracking from now on. Instructions are similar to stop tracking in tvOS. To stop app tracking completely in tvOS 14.5 or newer, iDownload blog says open the Settings app on your Apple TV, then select Privacy, then select Tracking, and disable Allow apps to request to track. Lots of fighting words generated again by Apple's implementation of app tracking transparency. Why don't we listen into some of those? Cult of Mac drew from a Financial Times article that had ad companies arguing that app tracking transparency, or ATT, would or will drive up the cost of applications. Rather than seeing whether that's the case, some ad groups have filed an antitrust complaint against Apple in Germany. According to the Financial Times, 9 industry associations representing companies including Facebook and Axel Springer, the owner of Bild, Die Welt, and Insider, filed a complaint on Monday with Germany's competition regulator. They did that before the anticipated launch of ATT, which did, of course, launch later that day, with online advertisers expected to take as much as a 60% hit on sales served through Apple Gear. The lawyer shepherding the complaint said it was consumers that would be hurt. Without the ad revenue, they argue, ad-supported apps will have to start charging. Of course, they could also try crafting quality ads rather than shooting fish in a barrel. See, Apple does have some tools that might help in that regard. Not today or tomorrow, but in days to come. Apple Insider highlights Apple's push for its own set of ad attribution tools. They're made to measure the effectiveness of ads without all that pesky tracking people that people tend to hate once they know they're being tracked. According to the piece, private click measurement is an alternative to user data tracking that allows advertising networks to measure clicks within apps and websites. Importantly, because the tool does not track user data, specifically the IDFA or identifier for advertiser tags, developers can use it without asking for permission under Apple's app tracking transparency rules. According to Apple, after a user clicks on an ad for a product in an app, the web browser itself, using private click measurement, can give advertisers information that a user clicked on their ad and that it led to a certain outcome on their website, such as a visit or a purchase, without giving them information about who specifically clicked on the ad. Again, fishers of men, not shooting fish in a barrel. There are more groovy tools to come, it seems. The Apple Insider piece says Apple's planning a new version of SK Ad Network in the 14.6 versions of iOS and iPadOS. It, too, is meant to give greater insight into an ad's effectiveness without identifying individuals. Now, I feel like it's worth pausing now and again to remember what it is we're talking about. Without most of us knowing, apps and advertisers have been tracking us, individual app users and web surfers. As Apple Senior VP of Software Engineering Craig Federighi told the Wall Street Journal earlier this week, we really just want to give users a choice. These devices are so intimately a part of our lives and contain so much of what we're thinking and where we've been and who we've been with that users deserve and need control of that information. The abuses can range from creepy to dangerous. Apple lays out the same stance in a 2-minute video posted to YouTube. There it points out that it is not denying access to user information. Rather, what Apple has said is, you have to ask permission to track. Meanwhile, advertisers who, in this context, should really only be called data brokers, are flipping their flipping lids. Okay, that is me off my soapbox. Now, you may be wondering why developers don't just offer rewards in exchange for being allowed to track a user's activity. Because Apple won't let them, it seems. Back to Apple Insider we go, which has the Cupertino company calling that a no-no in its human interface guidelines for developers. According to the report, under accessing user data, Apple has included a section explaining elements that developers cannot do in tandem with tracking requests. As reported by Mac Rumors, this includes outright bribery of a user. Don't offer incentives for granting the request, writes Apple, with developers unable to offer people compensation for granting their permission. Developers also cannot withhold functionality or content or make their app unusable until people allow them to track. After months to prepare, here's a shocker. Facebook is not quite ready to implement app tracking transparency worldwide. CNET had the social network saying Monday that requests to track would start rolling out that very day, but it'll take a few weeks to roll it out around the world. Quoting Monday's report, we'll start rolling out the prompt to iOS 14.5 users today, but we will roll out the prompt over the course of a few weeks, so not all eligible users will see the prompt right away, a Facebook spokesperson said in a statement. The representative added that some Facebook users have already seen the prompt, but declined to say how many. We're ramping this rollout globally to ensure everything works as expected, the spokesperson said. Facebook has 2.8 billion monthly active users worldwide, but they actually serve information immediately to those people, right? I mean, it's what they do when they want to. Yeah, I kind of want to bag on Facebook for facing this up, but Apple kind of did too. A report from Apple Insider says some users aren't getting the app tracking permission request, not because developers haven't rolled it out to them, but because for some users the option is stuck in the off position. Remember that toggle I told you about earlier? The one that'll let you say no to every app by simply not letting them ask? That's stuck in the don't ask position, which means a hard and constant no. Now, to me, that sounds like a problem solved, though, as Senior VP Federighi said earlier, it is about user choice. And some users aren't getting the choice. It's unclear for how many, but Apple Insider says for some, the allow apps to request to track selection and system settings is currently unavailable and can't be manipulated. Instead of allowing users to toggle the accompanying radio button, the option is deactivated and the setting is grayed out. The Apple Insider piece has 9 to 5 Mac speculating on a few possible reasons. So far, though, nobody seems to know for sure why it's working properly for some and just saying no for others. We will look at changes specifically for the Mac in a moment, but first a word about MacScan 3 from Secure Mac. Recent numbers from Canalys say Mac sales grew 16% in 2020. Gartner says Mac sales were up over 22%, while IDC says they were up 29%. Okay, they don't agree on the exact numbers, but they all agree on one thing. Lots of new Macs last year. And that means lots of new targets for bad guys. Protect your digital self with MacScan 3. MacScan 3 is a great defense against malicious software attacks aimed at your Mac. It's developed by Secure Mac, trusted names in computer security and developers of exceptional security software for the Mac for over 20 years. MacScan 3 detects and removes Mac malware, catches keyloggers, removes tracking cookies, and provides full range or targeted scanning, all without crowding up your hard drive or slowing down your machine. Sign up for a free 30-day trial today at securemac.com/MacScan. Then once you decide to buy for less. You can take a little off the cost of your subscription to MacScan 3 with offer code CHECKLIST. Try it first, watch it kick those tracking cookies to the curb. Then when you're ready to buy for less with offer code CHECKLIST at securemac.com/MacScan. With most of the portable devices aside, it's worth noting that Apple on Monday let fly with macOS 11.3 as well. I mean, laptops are portable, but you get the idea. Lots of little changes with this one, listed by another piece from Apple Insider. Among them, there is support for AirTag and Find My. We covered those pretty in-depth on checklist number 227. Lots of other tweaks as well, including improvements, or at the very least changes to reminders. Tweaks to Apple News, including ways to make finding particular publications easier in News Plus. Changes in podcasts, including following instead of subscribing. That's getting ready for the paid subscriptions coming to podcasts. There's also a save button for individual episodes and changes that are meant to aid in discovery. Similar changes came to Apple Music in terms of discoverability and ease of use. There are more voice options for Siri, and there are over 200 new emoji. You also got those in iOS and iPadOS. Now, plentiful though they may be, new features are not the biggest reason to make the move to 11.3. Apple Insider says Monday's macOS update fixes a vulnerability that let attackers bypass Mac security. Citing a report from TechCrunch, the piece says the software flaw allowed attackers to create a malicious application that could masquerade as a document. Security researcher Cedric Owens first discovered the bug in March. According to Owens, all the user would need to do is double-click, and no macOS prompts or warnings are generated. The researcher created a proof-of-concept app that exploited the flaw to launch the Calculator app. No, launching the calculator isn't scary. That is why it is called a proof of concept. Apple Insider says a malicious attacker could have leveraged the vulnerability to remotely access sensitive data or other information on a user's machine by tricking them into clicking a spoof document. That piece says could have, though Secure Mac has seen reports that this flaw was or is being exploited in the wild. Honestly, there's not one good reason to update your stuff this week. There are hundreds. In addition to the various functionality updates, a visit to Apple's security site shows 53 fixes for macOS Big Sur, 44 fixes each for the iOS and iPadOS updates, 33 fixes for watchOS, 34 fixes for tvOS, 2 fixes for Safari 14.1 for macOS Mojave and macOS Catalina, and oh yeah, those past operating systems got updates as well. Security Update 2021-003 Mojave takes on 30 security issues, while Security Update 2021-002 Catalina tackles 31. Hey, if you're looking for more security news and how-tos, the place to look is securemac.com/checklist. There you'll find notes for this show, for the last show we did, for every show that we've done, and you can listen along right there as well. It all starts in one place, securemac.com/checklist. If you like the checklist, could you do us a couple of favors? Rate this show wherever you found it. That would be really helpful. And please tell other people about the checklist. Hopefully we can be helpful to them. If you have a question you would like to ask or a topic you would like to hear us hit, our email address is checklist@securemac.com. That address again is checklist@securemac.com. And if you can't remember that, please do remember this. You're listening to The Checklist, brought to you by Secure Mac. And we'll talk to you next week.